The heavy thudding of boot against wood precedes the door exploding open as Rorik steps inside. He is breathing heavily, and he is bruised and battered all over. He holds in his hands a medallion that, until recently, was worn by Aryak, a cultist. More importantly, the medallion holds the Worldbreaker shard. Ingolfer manages to catch the shard as Rorik falls to the floor, exhausted from his most recent journey. When he wakes, there is only Ingolfer standing over him. A flash of lightning from outside tells him that it is still raining. He must not have slept for long. Miraculously, his wounds have healed. Only the dull ache serves as a reminder of his time in Deepfall Breach.
There is more work to be done.
Ingolfer says.
Come, let us talk about your next destination.
Before Rorik can deny the Wolfkin's quest, Ingolfer hands him a bowl. The scent of the stew suddenly hits Rorik and he realizes just how hungry he is. How long has it been since his last meal? How long has he been down in the breach? Welcome to the castle, everybody. Come have a seat. This is a Table for One, a pseudo podcast about solo actual play games. And today, this will be part 3 of Dragonbane. And in the last part, Rorik has braved the depths of Deepfall Breach to reclaim a shard from around a cultist's neck. There were some pretty amazing rolls in that part, so if you have not checked that out, then definitely go ahead and do so. But we made it out alive, might I add, and something that we need to talk about is experience and how we actually progress in this game, because there's really no level up. This is a skill-based game, and I failed to do that in the second part, so I'm going to rectify that here and explain how we gain experience. In Deepfall Breach, it's a little bit different, and here's what it says. As detailed in the rulebook, each time you roll a dragon or demon when using a skill, tick the checkbox next to that skill. In addition, gain 5 advancement marks for skills of your choice when returning from a successful mission. This alternate reward replaces the standard system of advancement at the end of a session in group play. Make your advancement rolls between missions, rolling a d20 for each mark. If the result exceeds your current skill level, it is increased by 1, up to a maximum of 18. When you're done, erase the marks and start over in your next mission. As is standard, when you increase a skill level to 18, you gain a heroic ability of your choice. In addition, within the Alone in Deepfall Breach campaign, you may, no more than twice, reward your character a bonus heroic ability for a valiant sacrifice or astounding success on a mission. Now, unfortunately, that was not really us in the last mission, but that's okay, because we have plenty of opportunities to rectify that here. So what we're going to do is level up, or rather, hopefully level up our skills. In between the first and the second mission, I kind of failed to level up skills, so I did that between the last video and this one. So I've already leveled up some skills, but in between the second mission and the third mission, we're going to go ahead and see if we level up any of those skills. So I've gone ahead and marked acrobatics, awareness, persuasion, sneaking, spot hidden, and swords. Now that's actually 6 skills, because persuasion, I believe we rolled a demon on, and so that one automatically gets marked. So we have persuasion marked as an extra one because of our demon roll. And so we're going to go right down the list, starting with acrobatics. This should be pretty easy because we're at a 6 right now, so let's see. That is a 13, so we get to level that up to 7, which is very nice. Awareness is next. That's currently at 11. And we rolled a, is that a 2? No, that's a number 1. Oh, we rolled a 1, so we do not level that one up, so that will stay at 11. That's unfortunate, but, you know, it happens from time to time. This is one of those instances where you really want to roll high instead of low. Next is persuasion, and we have a 6 on that one. And we rolled an 18, so that becomes a 7. Next up is sneaking, which is currently at 6. And we rolled a 13, so that's moving up to 7 as well. Next is Spot Hidden, which is currently at an 11. And unfortunately, we rolled a 10, so that is going to stay the same. And last but not least is Swords, which is currently at 13. We rolled another 10, so that is also going to stay at 13. All right, that's 4 for 6. That's okay. There's going to be plenty of time. And remember, we get 5 points to spend, or 5 marks in between each mission, so long as we're successful. So I'm not really worried about it at the moment, at least. Now, I did try to pick some skills that were used a little bit in between the missions or during the missions. So things like acrobatics and awareness, I think, would be things that Rorik would use quite often, as well as Spot Hidden. And he has done some sneaking a little bit, so I've gone ahead and marked those as my part of my 5. And of course, swords. We're always using swords because that's our main attack skill right there until we get something else, which I'm quite happy with the broadsword that we have. I mean, 2d6 damage is pretty nifty. Anyways, we need to figure out what our next mission is. So let's see, what does Engulfer Stonegaze have to say about our next mission?
A wizard of repute once dwelt within the breach, studying the fiendish origins of the rift. Decades have come and gone since the Mage's demise, and their tower lies abandoned. Venture there and retrieve an artifact more than useful to ye, a pair of calling stones to bind your soul to the surface should you have the need. A troll once called this mage a friend, and has protected the tower for centuries. With the conjurer's death, the guardian wanders the breach and hunts those who seek its long-dead companion's wealth and wisdom.
Oh boy, so we're gonna have a big bad troll to go ahead and fight with Rorik. Ooh, that's gonna be a pretty bad matchup, especially since last time we pretty much almost bit the dust. So let's see what happens.
To access the tower from the vault, step ye not into a passage, but through the illusionary wall marked with a crescent moon.
Now I actually want to know what is in this area. So I'm going to roll once on the contents table and once on the environments table. And this is just going to be a d20 roll. So for the contents we have a 13, which is mummified corpses. So we see these corpses just all strewn about this area. And what else? What's in the environment? We have another 13, so mechanical whirring. So we hear some sort of mechanical whirring. That seems to me like there's some sort of a trap involved. So I think the first thing that we're going to do is ask the question, is there a trap in this area? Let's take our d6 and roll to find out. 6, that's an extreme yes. Oh boy! Off the bat, we have some sort of an extreme danger. Now, what I would like to know is, does Rorik see this danger? So his spot hidden is 11. We need to roll an 11 or under, so let's see what he can spot. That is a 19. So he does not spot that there is some sort of danger in this area. So he's going to step forward and possibly trigger some trap. Now, there actually is a traps table. It's a d20 roll to see what kind of a trap that we're going to spring. So let's roll for that. We have another 13. Wow, that's like 3 13s in a row or something like that. 3 13s in this game, rather. We have a rolling boulder. Okay. So perhaps that we're walking down this stairway and he steps on a specific step that presses down, which activates this boulder that comes down, and it's pretty much like Indiana Jones at this point. He's got to run from this boulder. So let's see. It seems to me like it could be some sort of an acrobatics check to maybe run or get out of the way. I don't really think that's going to be evade. We're just pretty much running at this point. So we're going to go ahead and roll for acrobatics to outrun the boulder. And oh my gosh, another 19. So we do not I am going to say that this is slight damage, mainly because this is, well, first off, the first thing that we've come across. It's a trap, and I think that he's going to have at least the capabilities of outrunning it. It's just a matter of how much is he going to strain himself to do it. And that's going to be 3 points of damage right off the bat. So that's 3 points of damage for Rorik for outrunning. And he is running down the steps, and there's only one thing that he can see in the distance, or as he approaches this wall. And that is, of course, going to be this wall with a crescent moon on it. And of course, remembering Ingolfer's words, he's just going to kind of close his eyes and run right through like platform 9 3/4, and he passes through. But the boulder does not. The boulder's too big to pass through the illusionary wall, and so it just stops with a thud. Uh-oh. How's it gonna get back out? We'll save that for another time, possibly. And so he progresses further into this mage's tower. And so we come to the petrified arboretum.
Trees of brittle stone stand in maddening formation in the tower's arboretum. Find a path through and heed not the whispers of the trees. The dryads who once dwelt within have long since become something else.
So really none of the options in the core rulebook seem to fit here. So my interpretation is that the dryads maybe have turned into the trees themselves, or some sort of force of nature that's going to be quite dangerous to us. And so Rorik is going to have to navigate through this wilderness, this large arboretum, and that is definitely going to be a bushcraft test. Bushcraft is survival, finding your way in the wilderness, setting up camp, and things like that. Unfortunately for him, his bushcraft is 5, and so I don't really see this going very well for us, but we're going to try nonetheless. Can Rorik find his way through the wilderness? That is a 9. Now, there is something that we can do here in this instance, since we rolled a 9. We can actually push our roll, and I don't think I've actually done this yet. So if you fail a skill or attribute roll, you can choose to push the roll, which means that you make another attempt. The new result applies, whatever it is. If you have boons or banes, you must re-roll all dice. You can never push a demon roll, which is a natural 20. Whenever you push a roll, immediately after the re-roll, you suffer a condition. This means you can get a bane on all rolls for skills based on that certain attribute, and rolls against the attribute in question. Each attribute is linked to a certain condition, and there are 6 different conditions. So strength is exhausted, constitution is sickly, agility is dazed, intelligence is angry, willpower is scared, and charisma is disheartened. So we're gonna push the roll here and hope that we can actually get that 5 or under. That is a 12, and we're going to mark the angry condition, since he's been wandering around here for quite a long time. He's definitely going to get angry. Perhaps the dryads, in their new form, they become one with nature. They are preventing him from actually making it to the other side of the arboretum. And so he's going to waste quite a bit of time. So our countdown is going down. So Rorik kind of wanders around this arboretum wilderness for what seems like days, probably not, and he is most certainly angry. But eventually, he does get through. He does make it to the other side. He does make it to a door that he can go through. And go through it he will. And what do we find? Unknown. So that means we get to go ahead and make it up. We get to make up the next waypoint. So we're going to go ahead by rolling a d20. That is a 12. So we have a lofty bridge. Ooh, man, this game certainly loves its bridges. And we get to roll a d4 to see how many times we're going to roll on the location details. That is 1. So we're only going to roll a 1, or roll once on the table. And which one do we get? Another one, so that is contents. So roll a d20 for the contents. And that is a 19. We have towering statues. Uh-oh. That already seems ominous to me. This is like never-ending story vibes.
A bridge is your only way forward, and as you cross it, you will have to submit yourself to the mercy of its guardians. Fear not the fire, for surely you are quick.
So we have a bridge that he's going to go across, and it is probably beset by a pair of statues that are looking down at it. Let's ask the big question in the room. Is the bridge whole? Let's start with that. Is the bridge whole? Yes. I believe that is just a simple yes. Are the statues trapped? Yes. Ugh. Of course they would be. Does Rorik notice the traps? And that's going to be a spot hidden roll for him. So 11 or under. Oof. That is a 12. So close. Again, he does not spot the trap. So let's see what kind of a trap is going to be dealt to him. You know, I kind of really like the idea of having flames come out from these statues. So maybe they're like these draconic statues, and as soon as he steps over the threshold, they begin to spout flames at him. Is it possible for us to evade? I am going to go ahead and roll for evasion this time around. We do have a Bane on evasion because of our chainmail armor. So that means we're rolling 2 dice and taking the lower results. So 10 or under for both. Let's see what we got. Oof. That was incredibly close. Unfortunately, only one of those passed. And the other one was the one that we have to take. So that 19 is what we're taking. He does not pass. He is beset with the flame. So how much damage is he going to take from this? This one is going to be moderate damage, which I believe is 2d6 points. So how much damage is he going to take this time around? Let's find out. He is going to take 4 points of damage. That's not good, but it isn't the worst outcome. So we are at 7 points of damage at this point. Not doing too hot there, pun intended. So let's see. He decides to run right across the bridge, not caring if it's going to fall or not, but it is a lofty bridge, and I think that's going to be the only threat in this area for now. And so he makes it to the peering walls.
Not often does the breach gaze back at me, but I see eyes beyond counting peering out from stone flesh. Look not into their fiendish glare, or risk your mind.
I am almost inclined to say that this is another bushcraft roll. And of course, this is going to be done with a Bane because he is quite angry from having tried to navigate the Arboretum, and now he's going to have to navigate with his eyes shut, like in Bird Box of all things. And so we're going to roll 2 dice and hope for the best, but let's see what happens. Ooh. Hold on. Wings, that is a number 1, and the other one is a 3. So we got a dragon right there. Ooh, what skill was that? That was bushcraft, right? So I'm going to go ahead and mark bushcraft as our first dragon of the playthrough. All right, that's pretty good. A 1 and a 3. We beat all odds. On a demon, we managed to actually succeed on a 5 or below. That is like a 25% chance. Well, it's less than that because you would have had to have succeeded on both rolls, so that would have been much lower than that. But he manages to successfully navigate this maze of, I would imagine, to be stone people, stone statues, people who might have looked at the walls, these eyes in the walls that probably turn them into statues, like Medusa, only it's not Medusa, it's an actual wall of eyes that you look at, you get turned to stone type of a deal. And so he's navigating his way, pushing past these stone, or using these stone people as a way to navigate through until he gets to the other side of the, I guess, the area, the tunnel, or wherever he's at. I would imagine that it's like a tunnel, and in the tunnel are all of these eyes, these peering eyes. And so he manages to get to the other side, and, well, what do we find? We have another unknown area. So we get to make it up this time with the exploration tables. So let's see what we have. We have an 8, which is an expansive hall. All right, so how many times are we rolling on the location details? We're going to roll once on the location details, and it is a danger. Uh-oh. So we have a danger here, but what is the danger that we are going to find? A 9. The danger is flooded space.
This flooded hall can be tricky to navigate. Keep to the path, lest you drown with others who have attempted to discover the Mage's secrets.
So we have this expansive hall before him with stairs that lead down into some sort of a pool. And like Lara Croft, he's going to have to dive in there and go into all these tight little corners and tunnels and swim through. So that seems to me like it's going to be a swimming roll. So we're going to roll a d20, and it's going to have to be a 10 or under to see. Now, there is no Bane on this for armor or anything like that, thank goodness. We have a 4, so we do successfully navigate through this area, or this expansive hall, by swimming through and going in between crags and things like that, and he makes it out through the other side. And what do we find? We find the maddening orrery. But I think this is probably going to be a time when he comes up, there is like a little landing before he gets to the next room. Before he gets to that next room, I think we're going to go ahead and take a break here. He's going to go ahead and take that quick rest. Now, something that I have noticed is that there are rules for healing in solo play. So as a stalwart solo adventurer, you may make a healing roll to tend your own wounds during a stretch rest, which is what we're going to attempt here. On a success, heal 2d6 HP. You can attempt to rally yourself while at 0 HP without a Bane to the Persuasion roll, or we can attempt to save your own life with a healing roll while at 0 HP, and only one of those really applies to us. But the way that I see it is that if we fail the healing roll, we still get a d6 worth of HP, because when you heal during a stretch, you automatically get a d6 to heal. You get the 2d6 if somebody else is tending to your wounds. So I don't think it's really fair for us to botch a healing roll and then get nothing out of the stretch rest. So we are going to heal here, and it's just a matter of how much do we get to heal. So we're going to go ahead and use a healing check, which unfortunately, since it's based on intelligence, is going to be a Bane. So 2d20s, take the lesser. And that's not going to succeed, so as I thought, because we would have had to have rolled 5 or under for both of those. So we heal up 2 points of damage. So that puts us at 5, which is okay. I'm not going to be bitter about that, especially since we're now under our halfway mark. So yeah, we'll take it. Now we also get to heal up 1 condition, and of course, since we only have 1 condition, that's going to be angry. So we're getting rid of angry, so we no longer take Banes on intelligence-based tests, which is very important in the future, I would imagine. Although, let's be honest, Rorik is not the most intelligent person, so yeah, does it really matter at this point? Alright, on to the maddening orrery.
The Mage used this confounding device to chart the flux of the heavens themselves long ago. Now its mechanical whirring and grinding gears represent nothing more than an obstacle. Traverse the machinery or disable its movements.
What is going to happen here? Well, it looks like we have a couple options. We can navigate the obstacle, or we can try to disable it. And trying to disable it seems like something a smart person would try to do. Rorik is not that person, so he is going to try to navigate through it. And to me, this seems like an acrobatics roll, because I'm sure there's going to be jumping and, avoiding and things like that involved. So we need to roll a 7 or under on just 1d20. So let's see if he succeeds. That is a 3 right there, so we do manage to beat the agility test. So he is, I wouldn't say that he's being acrobatic about it. He's not doing flips and things like that. He's just kind of counting. He's doing the, 1-2 maneuver and then jumping through whatever is happening. I would imagine that there's like little bits that are coming around and just trying to knock him down. That's really interesting. Yeah, I would kind of say that there's stuff that's coming out, like mechanical bits of a clock. And I guess if you've ever played Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, there's that one section where she's going up in, I think it's like to test the eagle or something like that. And it's kind of like that, where these little bits with spikes on it that are just coming out, trying to knock Rorik down as he is trying to make his way up through the orrery. And so he manages to make his way through the orrery safely, surprisingly, and he gets to the endless stair.
A spiraling ascent leads you to the top of the Mage's tower. Arcane trickery be at play here, trapping the unwary in an infinite climb. Keep your wits about you and avoid the still shambling remains of less fortunate adventurers.
We're going to make a willpower check to see if we can avoid being caught in this illusion, this arcane trickery, so to speak. And so our will is at 9, so we're going to go ahead and roll our d20 and see if we can keep our wits about us. That is a 4, so we actually managed to succeed on that one. And so he manages to keep his wits about him as he passes by these skeletons. And he makes his way up the stairs, and it almost seems like it's going to keep going on and on forever. Like his attention span is just about to give out. But he manages to keep his wits about him. He manages to persevere and keep his mind functioning so he doesn't end up like the countless corpses about him. He keeps going up and up and up, and we get to the Mage's study.
The laboratory and library of the Mage lies shrouded in darkness. The Mage's corpse lies within, the last vestiges of their magic still warding off intruders. Take only what you've come for, the calling stones, which will be your salvation.
So we already know that this area is the Mage's study. So I don't think we really need... Well, actually, let's go ahead and see. We're going to roll d4 to see how many times we're going to roll on the location details. We're going to roll 3 times. So our first one is a 3, which is an oddity. The second roll is a 2, which is an environment. So we got oddity, environment, and another environment. So oddity, environment, environment. So our oddity is a 19, which is an unnatural darkness in the room. Okay, so this study is unnaturally dark, so it's going to be very hard for us to find what we've come for. Our 2 environments are 10, which is glassy surfaces, and 5 for corroded surface. So corroded and glass I don't think really mix very well, so I'm going to say it's going to be like cracked glass. So this room is unnaturally dark. In fact, having a glass surface to walk on is going to make it seem like there is no end. But he notices that there are these subtle cracks that spread out where the ground should be. And so he tests it out with his foot first, and he realizes that there's ground there. It's glass. And so he steps carefully on there. And actually, you know what? I think this is going to be one of those times where he's going to be smart for once. Because he's got heavy chainmail on. I don't think that this is necessarily going to be the smartest thing. To be as heavy as he can be and walk across cracked glass, that's not good. So he's actually going to take off his armor, and he's going to go across the glass without it. I think that first thing that we need to do is navigate the glass, the cracked glass. Is it going to crumble beneath his feet? What kind of a roll would that be? I think for sure this has got to be acrobatics because it's about balancing, and he's trying to balance himself on this glass. So we got to roll a 7 or under here. That's a 5. He successfully manages to walk on the glass, avoiding the major cracks. And he's looking around, but he doesn't really see, or actually, does he see what he's looking for? Let's roll a spot hidden to see if he can find what it is that he's come for. 11 or under for this one. Oof, that is a 12. Should we push the roll? That's a big question. I think in this case, I think he should push the roll here. So we're gonna go ahead and re-roll again to see if we can get 11 or under. And that is a 10. Wow, we were 1 over that first roll. We were 1 under the next one. Our condition that we're going to take is scared. And I think that really makes sense in this instance because at any second, this entire floor could just crumble down and he falls into like an endless pit or something like that. And so he's kind of scared here. But he does find what he is looking for. And what is it that he's looking for again, might you ask? He is looking for a pair of calling stones. He finds them on a pedestal and he manages to grab both of them. And he backs away very, very carefully on tiptoe feet, might I add. Or actually, if you were stepping on glass and trying not to break through, would you make your feet like a point with that? I feel like you would want to spread the weight across. Okay, maybe not. Maybe he's trying to spread his weight across the entire foot instead of a single point where it's probably easier to crack through. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a glass breaker professional, so we'll just call it like that. How about that? Okay, and so he is going to back away very slowly until he gets back to the edge of where the doorway is, where his armor is, and he's going to carefully put his armor back on, and he's gonna get out. And that concludes it for this adventure, but you might be asking, what are calling stones? These two stones are inexorably linked. Ingolfer asks to keep one in the nameless chapel, while the other remains in your possession. When you speak the activation word, your stone instantly returns you to the chapel. After teleporting, roll a d6. On a 1, the calling stone cracks and its power falters. It will only function one more time before crumbling to dust. So basically it's like free teleportation, but to a fixed point, which is the other calling stone. And I guess Ingolfer could also use it to teleport to us if we really want to, but I don't think that's going to be necessary here. So, that is the end of this mission. Another mission success. We get 5 marks, and I'm going to go ahead and choose swords, acrobatics. Surprisingly, we didn't have any combat in this one. I'm also going to choose awareness, sneaking, seems to be a big one, and spot hidden, I think. And we already have bushcraft listed there because we did get a dragon on that. So we have 6 skills to roll, starting with acrobatics, 7 or higher, please. That is a 6. Wow. Okay. So not acrobatics. What about awareness? 11 or higher, please. That is a 5. Oh, now we're gonna roll low. I see how it is. So we were rolling high pretty much the entire game, but now when it really counts, we're gonna roll low. Bushcraft, 5 or higher, please. That is a 7. That's not a 1 because it's not a dragon. So our bushcraft gets leveled up to 6, which is very nice, I suppose. Next we have sneaking. That is a 14. So sneaking does level up once to 8. Now we have spot hidden, which is 11 or higher, please. 19. So that is bumping up to 12. And then we have swords. 13 or higher. Oh, that's an 11. That's unfortunate. But that's the way the dice roll sometimes. And that concludes another mission into the Deepfall Breach. Let's see what Rorik will come across next time.
So Rorik has made it back from the breach in one piece, eh? Good. There's still more work to be done, and I can check in on your progress with the calling stones. What? It doesn't work like that? I knew I should have gone with Apple. I hear Siri is quite the catch. Check back every other Thursday for a new episode of Table for One, a solo role-playing podcast. If you would like to support this podcast, please rate it or give it a thumbs up wherever you happen to be listening from. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, subscribe and be sure to leave a comment. Music was provided by Tabletop Audio and AI voice work by 11 Labs. You just wait until Skynet takes over and I get one of those shiny metal bodies